everyone, and welcome to another edition of Powered Up Talk with me, Izal. This week we're going to be talking all about identity and knowing the importance of your identity. I've launched a new series called Unmasked with the aim of unmasking some of the real challenges that so many of us are facing. We are living in a time where we're expected to wear masks, and we know why, and it's all for the right reasons. But at times it does feel like we've got no voice, and your voice has been taken away when you see all the horrendous things that's going on around the globe, around gender-based violence, and there's so many social ills going on around us right now. So I want to bring hope in a time where everything just seems so hopeless. So I'd love for you guys to just join me on this journey, and to do so, please click subscribe for all my interviews that will be posted on this YouTube channel.
You say rise and draw me from the ashes of the night. So I rise, yes I rise.
Today I'm so honored to have someone who is very near and dear to my heart with me, my very own spiritual father, my apostle, my mentor, a leader, a visionary, an author, a father, and so much more with me today. And it's really such an honor that he is doing this interview with me, because with everything that's happening around with men and the gender-based violence and the crazy stories happening out there, it's such a blessing to have a leader who is strong, who's a man of honor, and he really stands for what a man should be. So I couldn't think of anybody else to do this interview with. So welcome, Apostle Max.
Well, thank you for having me on your talk. I'm so proud of you, my daughter Zell. It is a great joy. It's a great honor. Thank you for allowing me into your life over all these years, and then especially to reach a moment like this, which is critical for your destiny and for your viewers and for all that you're doing. We are very proud of you.
Thank you so much, Dad. I really wanted to have this discussion about identity. And I think for me, the reason I wanted to have it around identity so much is maybe because personally it's something that I've struggled with for so many years. And then also because I think it really also stemmed from me not having or growing up without a father. And I think it is something, so it's becoming more common today with so many people growing up without a father. And we hear the news about gender-based violence, and we hear the horrendous stories of things that's happening out there in the world. So I think with all the current challenges being experienced around gender-based violence, from your perspective, why do you think it is so important for men and women to know who they are and to have a strong sense of identity?
It is the foundation of everything concerning your destiny in your life. We need to understand a couple of things that's in play here. Number one is that you are made in the image of God. And you have an enemy who hates everything about the fact that you were made in the image of God. And so we know there's an attack, but there's something that must be solidified in every single one of us, is that made in the image of God, or made in the God class, becomes a vital conversation to heal people from their past, from gender-based violence, from a racist heart. Because knowing that you don't really come from your parents, but from God, should be the most liberating thing for any single one of us. It is the fight that people are in, and it's going to be a lifelong story, every single one of us. You speak about broken families, you speak about broken homes, where I come from, every single one of us. It is the attack on the class or the image of a man. It's low self-esteem, it's separation that it wants to bring. Remember that the most subtle temptation today for every single one of us is to doubt ourselves. And so when you're dealing with, say, God being who makes man in their image and in his likeness, image has got to do with the class, likeness has got the ability to function, and in that order. So if I don't know what my image is or where I come from and fix my identity, my functionality in the earth is never going to work. It's never going to work. And I struggled with this myself. I had to go and find my identity. And remember that when Satan has a conversation with Eve, it was never about the fruit. The fruit was not the temptation. The temptation was to be like God. That was the temptation. It was an image issue. And so for us to, and he knew that the moment she fell for the trick, He knew that she would not be able to function in the earth anymore as God originally intended. So Eve enters into a conversation with the devil because he started to compare her with God. And anytime you don't know who you are, Satan holds the narrative for your life. And that's dangerous because it will take you down roads and different places that you will never come and fulfill the purpose and the destiny for who you are. So if you go back to the temptation with Jesus, he asked Jesus the same question. He says, if you are the Son of Man. He knew it. He was there at the water baptism when God said, this is my beloved Son, fixed his image. Before he did a miracle, before he performed any miracle, his image was set straight. And this conversation that you're having today is vital for every single person to understand. We need to spend time developing the image of every single one of us. And people feel inferior because they come out of Africa. When I started the For Change magazine and I had my first conversation and interviewed Dr. Miles Monroe, pretty much what you're doing now. And I said to him, if I had to do something in our nation that would be significant moving forward, what do you suggest? He says, move away from the AAA system. Don't make the AAA your first thing that you do. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Don't make that your priority. Make the SSS your priority. Self-worth, self-image, and self-concept. Build that on the inside of every single one of them, because Africa does not know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, Satan's going to always pull you to jobs, to relationships, to people, to places, and all that goes with it, because he's getting a self-doubt on the inside of you. So there's nothing more destructive to the devil than somebody who has self-confidence. When you doubt yourself, you wear other people's clothing because you believe they give you value. And that's the same reason why the fashion industry is so powerful, because you're wearing someone else's stuff to make you feel important. And that's how damaging and how expensive and how destructive not knowing who you are is. And because when you know who you are, it sets you free from the opinions of men. I don't need somebody else's name to come onto my name and wear their brand to make me feel important, because my identity comes from God.
Statistics are showing that about 60% of people are growing up in fatherless homes. It's shocking to say the least, but unfortunately that is the reality, and it's a stat actually found on Stats SA's website that so many people are growing up in fatherless homes. And you're always saying that if you fix the man, you fix the home, you fix the community, you fix the world. Could it be that the reason why we're seeing the high numbers in gender-based violence is because of fatherlessness in homes?
Wow. It is so spot on. And as I pondered this question, I could only go back to a place of where Jesus speaks about two men that built a house. And he says one built with the foundation and the other one didn't. And I want us to really, and my cry to the nation, the cry to the president and everyone else, I personally think that they're not spending any money just on boys. Think about every boy that you see and see them as the foundation for humanity and society. Think of every father that is absent in their home. If that house, that the mother, she celebrates the boy's degrees, celebrates his sports and all that goes with it, but there's no father in that place. The father's not the head, he's the foundation. That is from the beginning of time. That when God made man, he laid him down and he took it from the dust. And when he needed a woman, he went back into the man and he put him to sleep. That's the foundation of all society. And when the cracks appear in the foundation of a man, all of society shakes. Because if a boy has not got a father, he could have all the walls and the roof of his life sorted out. It looks really good, painted on the outside, the boy's dressed up well. But when the winds blow and the rain comes, what is this boy going to do when trouble hits his home? When trouble comes into society? He's never found a role model to put a foundation on the inside of him, because the mother cannot do and give what the father can give for this boy. This boy needs a man. And that's the reason why we in the church, we need to take boys that haven't got fathers and mentor them and do what? Lay foundations, because we can be guaranteed that trouble is coming. We can guarantee the 2 houses that went up. It looked good on the outside. And so when you're looking at boys, you got to see them. They don't look any different to one another. They all maybe had a mother or somebody around in their lives, and they all go to school, and they maybe went to the same university and whatever else it is. But there is something that's going to happen, because trouble comes to everyone. The rain's going to fall. The storms are going to come. And the only ones that stand is the one that has a foundation. Trouble comes to everybody. But I've watched how boys that have fathers handle trouble, how they have the support, how they have the foundation of their lives taken care of. And the rains fall and the rains come, but it does not blow away this house. The reason why you are dealing with, the boys, and we know the story in the prisons with the boys, but people in prisons they're not serving sentences. They're serving poor decisions. And where did that come from? It was that there was an absent father that could not lay a foundation in his boy's life. And here is what the biggest challenge is for fathers, and why people think it's not a big deal. Do you know that the foundation of this house is what makes this house stand of mine? And yet you don't see it, and yet it's never celebrated. We celebrate the windows. Oh, the kitchen looks good, and the lounge looks good and all that. But nobody celebrates the foundation of a house. And yet when trouble comes, the only thing that's going to keep this house together is the foundation. And we need to get back to the fact that we need to invest money, time, energy into laying foundations in the boy's life. Because if a boy is raised up properly, a girl would never have to go and protect herself from any of the violence that comes from the men. The problem that you're having over there is that it's not that they have moms are most of the time they're there. The problem is that there was no man who took the time to lay caring foundation in the heart and life of a boy.
And you've mentioned some critical things about mentoring. You've mentioned about walking with these boys and training them up. And what are some solutions to help these youngsters?
Us to understand that if we're ever going to produce a solution for this nation, it's gonna have to come out of love. Because love has got no loopholes. Whether you're black, white, colored, Indian, whether you're young, old, whether you were previously advantaged, disadvantaged. When we want to look for a solution, we're going to have to go and use love as the root to do this. I did not say that you just ignore the fact that people did the atrocities of the past or not pay for their past. I am talking about the fact that if you're looking for the way forward, it has to be on a foundation of love. It does not matter if it's a white boy that needs to come to my foundation and be trained up there and say, well, I shouldn't be giving it to him because, he was previously advantaged. It's just a wrong mentality. How do you build a nation? By neglecting other gifts that are in your nation. And you cannot go and create a BE system that excludes certain people from partaking of the economy. Do things fairly, man. It is important that we create love as a foundation. And I tell you something else. It can only come from the kingdom of God. And the kingdom is where God has given us a place for us to function and to play in, where color does not matter, that we do not pay people for what they do, but we rather pay them for what they solve. We need to have principle above personality. We need to create a principled people. Doesn't matter the color of your skin. We must separate people based on principle. If somebody is a thief and he's black, a thief and he's white, don't tell me that you don't have black racists or colored racists. It's rubbish. It's an issue of the heart, and the heart must shift. And so when you come to God, the first thing that he does is he takes out the stony heart and he gives you a heart of flesh so you can function in the earth and treat everybody with fairness, because that's God's way of doing it.
I love that, because we can't fix problems bringing division. The different things that people are standing for right now, instead of bringing unity, it's dividing. And you're never going to be able to fix anything if you divide it. And I must tell you, the other day God just told me to go and research a kangaroo, and I thought that's like such a weird thing to do, a kangaroo out of all animals. But anyway, I did, and I find it so amazing that the kangaroo is the one animal that can't look back. It struggles to look back. But yet when you look at a kangaroo,
Wow.
it leaps forward like no other. And I think in order for us as a nation to progress forward, we need to let go of the past. I agree with you 100%. That is, we need to move forward and we need to find solutions. So I love what you're saying is that it's going to start with love.
Here's the thing though, is that coming from an oppressed background, this is where I've tried to reach out to the previously advantaged people. Both the oppressed and the oppressor needs deliverance. And anytime I bring up that topic, the previously advantaged thinks that you're asking him to feel guilty or trying to get something from them. That's not what we're saying. We're saying both for somebody to live with that superiority. They don't even know that they've been living that way. And you bring them to the table to say, actually, you're part of the problem. They don't want to know that. And that has been the problem in our nation. While we're going to move forward in love, we must understand that both the oppressed and the oppressor needs deliverance. Because most times when somebody is not really set free, they live with guilt. So let's take a white person of the past, maybe thinking that they had advantage. But listen to me, guilt is not a strategy, man. Guilt's never going to bring us free. Guilt's never going to say, I don't want you to bow down to me. I don't want you to kiss my feet. I don't want to be act the victim. I don't believe that you were superior to me. I know who I am. I don't need you to come and make restitution to me. I want just a way forward. That I need a way that my children can and my grandchildren can have an equal footing as a colored man in our nation. And, you know, if there are certain advantages that we could get and certain things that we could do, but to exclude another generation, other people, that's not right. You see, when the oppressed finally breaks free from the oppression, the last person they're going to help is the one that oppressed them in the first place. So you tell me that even if black is now pushing the agenda and, you know, I don't get to even sit around the table because it's a black thing, and Chinese get, the Chinese get an advantage over me as a colored man. Man, when I break free from my economic situation and poverty and the mess that I've been in, I mean, anybody who's not been set free in their hearts will never go and help another black man or a Chinese man or a white man for that fact. Because now you can switch that thing around. Because if the oppressed does not get set free, he then becomes the oppressor for the next generation. And so now the black would think that I need to oppress a white man so that I can get up. No, that you need deliverance. Because God never made you that way. You're made in the image of God and he set you free. And when you go back to God's original design, he says, let man have dominion, let them have a rulership. He says, over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, over every creeping thing. There was never in there anything that speaks about one man oppressing another man. That's demonic. So even though they made a mistake in the past, I think the greatest challenge that we're dealing with is that the oppressed and the oppressor don't believe together everybody needs help. And just because you have an advantage in one season and that you have an advantage economically or whatever card is being dealt to you in this season, does not mean that you're going to actually stay free forever. Because you see, an oppressed spirit can never remain that way. Never. It's just a matter of time when my oppressed spirit is going to push out against the things that are oppressing me. Because God made us free. Not woman, not man, not boy or not girl. No one was made to be oppressed. You can see it was not even let man have dominion of another man. Never. That's why women will shout and scream out against this. Because that oppressed spirit can never, it was never designed. You'll never survive. It's just a matter of time. It could take a year, it could take 10, it could take 20. But it's going to rise up and say, I need to be made free.
You said even yesterday in one of your interviews, something so powerful, there's no solutions outside of the church, because we as the church need to be the answer, and the church is founded on the very foundation of love and of freedom and not being subjected to another man's viewpoint, but knowing who you are in Christ. So, Apostle, in closing, I know there's so many people out there that are hurting, like they're either the oppressed, they're either the oppressor, whether it's in the form of gender-based violence, whether it's young girls who've been abused, whether it's someone who's been raised in a broken home. There's so many broken people out in the world. What advice would you give to those who are struggling, who are maybe stuck in a relationship and they don't know how to get out, who is maybe being the abuser and abusing young girls right now? What advice would you give to them?
Where do I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? What's the purpose? What's my design? It is that frustration that if you don't have an answer for that, you end up abusing your time on earth, other people, resources, your gift. It is that is the real problem. Remember, when this woman was in a relationship, she had 5. She then got to a well, and Jesus was the one who could say to her, so go and fetch your husband. He knew everything about her. That is so liberating for me, man. Because the truth is that she came with a bucket that was broken, and that was all our lives. That was me. We're all looking for the same thing. We're looking for a place not just to rule over our circumstances, but we want to be free to be ourselves without the approval or the rejection or the low self-esteem. We want to just become all that God has called us to be. That's for every single person. They're looking for to be found. They're looking for themselves. That is the real issue here. I went on the same search. I went looking for me. I was, really happy at one stage, 35, 36 years old, working for a company, earning lots of money, and financially we were good, but I was still miserable. I didn't know me. And the greatest discovery is the discovery of you and the leader that God has called you to be. Because you were made for a purpose, and everybody's searching for it. You were made for a reason. You were not born even to your parents. You were born through your parents. God has made you. He's designed you a certain way. He has he made you female for a reason. He sent you to a colored community for a reason. All of this is in the purpose and the plan and the path of God. And that's what we're all looking for. I did the same. I wanted to discover the leader inside of me. I never knew that I was called to do what I'm doing. I am the most satisfied person. I've had such a long week with so many interviews and prayer sessions, 6 o'clock this morning, 8:30 with our own church, and 7:30 last night, and Pakistan, and ANC government, and Teaching Wednesday, and couples on Tuesday, and other relations, and preaching the weekend, and. But I've never been so satisfied in my whole life, because I discovered me. I discovered the gift inside of me. I discovered the purpose for my existence. And where did that come from, though? I wasn't like this before. I was an angry young man. I was hurt. The rejection, the abuse, the neglect, not knowing who I was made me a menace to society. It's just because I didn't know who I was. Then I discovered a man that could introduce me to me and truly set me free, with no strings attached. You know how some people can help you, but they always remind you that they helped you. You're not really free from, they helped you in a season, but you're really in greater bondage. But I discovered a man, and to accept me for being me, for where I was, and then willing to work with me to make me the best version of me for him. And I have to just end with this thing for you, and the song that I have in my spirit. I went to Israel, and I was on the boat on Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. And we had breakfast there with Dr. Miles, and he brought his keyboard with. And I don't know why this came up just before this interview in my spirit for you. And I want to just give you the lyrics. Singing might not be a good idea today, but let me give you the lyrics. Put your hand in the hand of the man who stilled the water. Put your hand in the hand of the man who calmed the sea. Take a look at yourself, and you can look at others differently. Put your hand in the hand of the man from Galilee. He set me free, man. He cut me loose from the lies I was sold. He's the only one who's promised that whom the Son sets free is free indeed. I am the happiest man alive. I've got children. I don't have everything together concerning all of life and all of its answers. But deep down inside of me is that I discovered me. And he was the one who introduced me to me. Because I put my hand in the hand of the one who calmed the sea. The man who calmed the sea. His name is Jesus. I can promise you, I went searching, and everybody is. And we follow certain leaders, and those leaders that are blind leaders leads you into a ditch, and you sit there for years because you never even discovered you. It's a freeing thing to know you and accept you for who you are. Because when you look at yourself and you love yourself, you get to love and look at the world differently. So I pray this will help you and help every single one of us moving forward as well. That it is in Jesus Christ, that he's the only one that set you free, that can set you free. The rest of the stuff will lead you into bondage. The rest of the books we study, the people we follow, I've tried. I am now 57 years old, and I'm so sorry it's taken such a long time to discover this. And yet, today still I'm happy. I'm glad that it has been what it has been, and it is what it is. But I'm free. Thank you for the time together.